Hi dancers, welcome to class 1. So in this class we're going to look at posture, we're also going to look at our feet position, arm positions, and some of the basic walking patterns that we have in Fly Fusion. So as this is the very beginner class, I'm going to assume that you have never done this before, that you may have never stepped into a studio before. So we will take our time. Please feel free to pause as we go through, just so that you can rewatch the videos. I will try to give a lot of different ways of doing the movements and alternatives to our posture elements, to some of our foot positions, just to make sure that you can be included in it. I don't know about you, but I know for myself, I have some shoulder issues, I have some knee things from just years of doing dance, but also from life in general. So please feel free to take a look at the alternatives that I have and some of the suggestions and work them into your dance. Fly Fusion is for everybody, and we will make sure that you're included in this as well. So any little adjustments or any changes that I can do in this class, I will put up for you straight away. So let's get started. One of the main things that we have in our dance is our posture, and the posture is very unique to transnational fusion dance and belly dance and a lot of the other oriental styles of dance that we do, in that it is it's done in such a way to protect our lower back and our lower belly, also our knees as well. A lot of our movements, and you've probably seen this from seeing dance, come from our hips, our chest, and our arms. So a lot of the posture that we have is so that those movements can be done safely on the body. So where we start is at our feet. So with your feet, you're going to do your own hip width apart for your feet, and you may be slightly wider than your hip width or narrower depending on your body shape. So if you take example for myself, I have slightly wider hips. So if I bring my feet together closely, you can see that I have quite wide hips. So for me, if I was standing in a posture where my feet were together, for me, I would shift off balance because my hips are slightly wider. So for me, I take a step out and I track the sides of my hips with the sides of my feet. For me, that's how I'm stable. And for me, I can shift either side and I feel very comfortable in my posture. So I want you to take a look at your own feet and your own hips and how this works for you. You may be a little bit closer together like this. That is totally fine. And you may find you need to stand it a little bit wider. That is totally fine. Whatever is comfortable for you and whatever you can do, and whenever you're in a position that you can shift either side and be comfortable, shift maybe forward and back and be comfortable in that posture, that's where I want you to be. So I'll bring my feet back in slightly. Another thing to notice is that for some of us, our pelvis tilts out. And if your pelvis tilts out, what you may find is that your feet actually tilt out to the side. And then that is totally fine too. If your pelvis is the type of pelvis that tilts out, you can allow your feet to turn out to the sides as well. So just be mindful as how you would normally stand. So if you just normally stand, have a look down at your feet. If your feet, like mine, tilt slightly out, then you may want to make sure that when you're in your posture that you have that tilt in your feet so that your pelvis can be protected. So when you get your feet comfortable, you can pick your toes up, and as long as you can roll around and move forward and back, you are in a good posture. The next thing then we look at is the knees. So in belly dance and in Fly Fusion and a lot of the dance styles, we do a lot of hip movement. So if I stand here and I try to do my hip lifts and drops with straight legs, not very much going on here because you can't really see it because my hips are not being able to move because my legs are straight. Now, if I bend my knees and do the same thing, you can see that, oh wow, look, I have hip movements now. My hips are going crazy. So the knees are a really big part of this. So when you're in your posture, you want to think about bending a little bit into the knees. So very gently into the knees, not fully extending over the toes or anything where you're almost sitting down. You want to just have a slight bend in the knees, and this allows your hips to become that little bit more free to do those types of movements. So nice little bend in the knees. Again, please be mindful if you do have any knee issues, don't go down too far, just a slight bend in the knee to allow your hips to be loosened. So in your dance posture, your feet, your knees. The next one then is one of the most important ones that we have. This is the pelvic lumbar relationship. So this, obviously your pelvis, and your lumbar, your lower back. When we do a lot of belly dance movements, obviously a lot of them are focused around our pelvic area and our hip area, purely because our hip circles, any of our hip movements are all here. One of the things that tends to happen when we are new to dance is that in order to do some of the movements, we will try to go into the lower back because it's usually the strongest part. So we have a lot of muscles that stabilize the body in the lower back, and they help us. So usually if you fall forward, your lower back will contract. Anything to do with kind of keeping you upright, your lower back is doing that. So it tends to be the first thing that kind of engages when it thinks you're about to fall or when you think your body is doing something wrong. So you need to be very mindful of this, the front of your pelvis and your lower back. So when you're thinking about your pelvis, what you want to do is think about bringing your belly button back to your spine ever so slightly. So I'll show you my belly button. So I am in neutral posture here, and what I want to think about is just pulling my belly button back just ever so slightly. In Fly Fusion, we do have a move called pelvic back, where we actually tuck the whole pelvic back, and you can see where my belly is starting to crease here. But if I bring back out of dance posture, I'm here. So what I want to do is tuck slightly back, not so far back that I'm into that pelvic tuck, but just a little bit that my pelvis is lifted, so I can feel a nice little stretch in my lower back, but also a nice little contraction here in the front. And that will just protect my back and my pelvis as we come to do our movements as we go forward. So this is the one I'll get you to check in with quite a lot. So I will say posture a lot in class, and that just purely means check in with yourself here and just make sure that you're back aligned. The next thing then I want you to do is think about your rib cage and your chest. Firstly, what I want you to do is take a deep breath in. Big stretch out and exhale down. And that lift that you have in your chest is what we want to go for. So this is basic posture, but sometimes for us, and I know myself, I work in an office, so I tend to be rounded in the shoulders, being on a computer all day. So I find it a challenge at times to bring myself into this posture. So what I just want you to make sure is that you're not contracting your shoulder blades in together to get this lift. What you're doing is actually just stacking your rib cage back on top of your hips. And again, this can be a challenge because of years of poor posture, and maybe again, like me, working at a desk, this can feel a little alien to you at the start, but I promise it will become more natural as we go through. So let's go back to the feet. Feet facing forward or tilted out depending on your own position. Low belly tucked, knees nice and soft, and you lift that rib cage up. Shoulders come up and down the back, and they very much sit behind the rib cage, supporting the rib cage, and shoulders are down. Think about lengthening the back of your neck. So you want to think about standing nice and tall. What happens with dance when we're very new to it, and so many videos of me doing this, I must share them. I tilted my chin up for years because I was so nervous because I didn't want to see my audience or anyone who was there. And this happens a lot when we go into posture because you're afraid, and we're all afraid. And it's always like, oh. So just be mindful to bring the chin down. So lengthen the back of the neck and the chin will come down. So let's start again. Feet, knees nice and soft. Low belly lifted. Bring the shoulders up and down the back with that rib cage. Lengthen the back of the neck and keep that chin in. Now take a deep breath. Exhale out. And a big smile. And that is your dance posture. So this is this is where we start. Everything starts and builds on this. So I encourage you to practice and go through this and hone this as much as possible, because everything we do layers on top of this, and you need to have this very much in your body as we move forward. So with that, let's look at some arm positions and foot positions and their basic walking patterns of Fly Fusion. Let's look at the feet first, because we're always down there with our posture. So in our dance posture, let's keep practicing that as we go through looking at our feet. So the first foot position for Fly Fusion is basic. And if you notice right now, my feet are in dance posture, which is basic. So yay, one off the list. So when you're in basic foot position, it is your dance posture foot position. So this is what we start off with. So this is called basic. So when we're in any classes, or if Violet has a combo which she starts feet in basic, you know, boom, my feet are here. And that is my position. The next foot position that we have is called stiletto. And stiletto, you're going to stand one foot next to the other. I'll turn to the back so you can see. And one heel is lifted off the ground. You can change sides on this, and it's one foot lifted. When you're in stiletto, just a little note about this. When you're in stiletto, you want to make sure that all of the weight is on your supporting leg. So you should be able to lift this leg up fairly easy. And you can change over to the opposite side and lift. Again, this is because we do sometimes little leg kicks as you want to make sure that you're not putting any weight onto that causes you to shift or come off balance. So very much weight on this leg. And again, this is a challenge for those of you with any kind of balance issues or any kind of ankle things. Myself, I have a balance thing, so I need to be really, really mindful as I do this to practice just holding on to a chair, and that's totally fine. If you need a chair, feel free to grab one and practice this just lifting up. Again, all of the weight shifting onto one side and that foot ankle lifted. So the ankle as well, when you're lifting the ankle, your feet are still in that almost a slightly modified posture. So you're bringing your feet in slightly, and you can see I still have a gap between my legs here when I'm in this. Now, if I'm at my dance angle, you can see my feet are still the same. So as I move around my personal little dance box, my feet are always going to be with that same gap. Same on the opposite side as we move around. You're always thinking about keeping that gap between the feet so that you can easily shift from one to the other. This is called showgirl in a couple of different other things. It's called popped ankle. So you may see it in lots of different styles of dance. Just for our terminology in fly, we call this stiletto. And again, it mimics having a stiletto heel on. I'm not one for heels, I can't walk in them, but this is what I imagine it looks like. So heel up. The next one that we have is one of my favorite. It's called kickstand. And kickstand, imagine like a bike where you got a little stand out to the side and you're leaning your bike. So again, same principle with stiletto. You're going to shift all of your weight onto your supporting leg, and that's your leg that is standing in dance posture, rooted to the ground. Your opposite leg is going to come out, and it's coming out at a diagonal. The ball of your foot is sitting on the floor, and some of your toes are just reaching the floor. So if it's look forward at it, you can see here, ball of my foot on the floor, some little toes splayed out. And again, all of my weight is still on this leg. I should be able to move this leg independently. You can put some weight onto it as we transition to the opposite side, but what you want to make sure is that you're keeping the weight. And you will see why as we come into crossover step, we're actually walking this step up quite a bit. So let's go to the opposite side, making sure all the weight is on our leg, our supporting leg, and the foot comes out. So this is kickstand forward. If you want to change sides, bring your ankle to the floor, lift your opposite ankle, and you're over to the opposite side. So drop the ankle down, lift the opposite ankle, and you're in kickstand. So dropping it down, opposite side. So this is kickstand facing forward. In Fly Fusion, when we're in our personal dance boxes, we are dancing at the angles, because obviously we will have a leader. Sometimes our leader will be forward in the pyramid or to our side. So when we are doing this, we want to make sure that we are angled in our stage performance. So in our kickstand, so let's come up into our normal kickstand. What I want you to do is turn your supporting leg out to your angle. So pointing to your angle, and then your back leg is turning around to keep your hips nice and square, and your ankle is facing the back corner. So this one's facing front diagonal and your ankle's facing the back diagonal. So we come back into center, bring both of the ankles down, get our feet aligned again, turn this foot out to the diagonal here, the back foot out, and lift your ankle, and we are in that kickstand again. So bringing in and down. So forward kickstand, we're facing forward, turning it, we're at a performance angle, bringing it back down, forward on the opposite side, turning, and we're in a performance angle on this side. So swapping down, bring the feet back in. Let's shake out the legs a little. Let's look at the footwork again. So basic, make sure you're in your dance posture. Then we have stiletto on the opposite side. Then we have kickstand facing forward, kickstand performance angle. And coming back, let's do kickstand on the opposite side. So kickstand on the opposite side, shifting over, facing forward at our performance angle. So the feet turn out, make sure you have that. So they are some of the main foot positions we have in Fly Fusion. Next thing that we're looking at is our arm positions. So our arm positions are very, very beautiful. And there are many different types of arm positions as we progress through Fly, but these are the basic ones that we use at the very start. And you may see these in different types of dance, and they're called different names. So we'll try to keep the names very generic within the format, so that as we're going through, you will know the same. So when Viola calls mid-arm, it is the same as we will do all the way through. So let's look at the first one. The first one is called resting arm, and this is one that's very synonymous with the type of dance that we do, with the type of fusion. It comes from a long generation of different types of fusion styles, and it's very beautiful.
So what you're going to do is look at your hands first. The hands, nice and flat together. You're going to lift and extend your middle finger up. This actually comes from ballet as well. When they hold their hands in ballet, they lift their middle finger and they let their hands just splay out just a little bit, and it's very pretty. You want to keep the thumb neutral and come generally in. So as we move our hands around, you don't want the thumb to be completely stuck out. You want to keep it in nice and neutral, and we're going to be able to move the hands. So hands nice and neutral, drop that middle finger, let the hands splay out. We're going to rotate your wrists in, and you're going to bring your hands to rest on your leg here. So the thumbs come in and they come straight on the leg. So you're placing the thumbs on the leg, so you have almost like your thumbs, if you think about it, your thumbs are going to your pelvic bones right here. You're thinking of sitting your hands there. If you look up at the arm here, the elbows are bent and they're almost tracking out to the opposite wall. So imagine you have a string and they're pulling your elbows out to either wall, but you want to try and keep your hands down. So this is really nice curved line as you have coming up your arm. The shoulders, remember, don't bring the shoulders forward, bring the shoulders up and down the back. We're still in dance posture. So your shoulders will be back, but your arms will be forward. So from the side, this kind of looks a little strange because your shoulders are back here, but your arms are kind of sticking out forward. But when you look around from the front, we have this lovely strong posture and a lovely strong position. So when we are here, shake it all out for a moment, come back into your dance posture, feet, knees, low belly, up. Rotating those hands in, thumbs to your hip bones, elbows tracking out to the walls, shoulders up and down the back. And this is resting arm. Now, if we rotate our hands out into this beautiful A line, this is called low arm. And low arm, again, we've used this quite a lot in fly. So low arm out, again, hands nice and relaxed. And bring them back in, rotate the wrists, come back into rest. And that back out into low arm. Elbows to the back wall in low arm. Nice and strong, shoulder blades down the back. If we bring the arms up a little bit higher, nice and open. So from the side, you can see my dance space is very much open. Hands are nice and relaxed. This is mid arm. So nice and strong. And again, just be mindful of your shoulders here. You may get a little tired. This is a lot to hold your arms up, especially when we're new to it. So take breaks here when you need to. Bring the arms back down to rest if you want to. But this is mid arm. So we have rest, low, mid, and then the next one is high arm, and we bring it up above our head here. So just a little note about this one. High arm is a lot on the shoulders. So your shoulders are still up and down your back and tracking down your back. We don't want to bring the shoulder blades up because obviously that closes off our neck and closes off our face for dancing. The shoulders are still down the back here. Be mindful that you may not have the dexterity yet to bring your shoulders all the way back. And that's totally fine. We don't want that. We don't want you to try and push your arms back just because you think you should. You absolutely shouldn't. If you are here with your arms, with your shoulders here, and this is where you can get to, that's perfect. That's exactly what we want to see. There is no set requirement for your arms to be right back here because we can't all do that. And I know myself, I find that challenging, and you can see my shoulders are already coming up if I try to put my arms back. So remember, where you are in your shoulder mobility or dexterity is where you want to be. So if you're here, it still looks the same as if I have my arms here. So that's what we want. So just be mindful of that because sometimes we can be hypercritical on ourselves when we can't get it up here or we can't have the arms. If you are here, I'm super proud of you. So bringing your arms here. And again, if you have more dexterity, you can bring them here. That's totally fine. But this is high arm. And again, we use this quite a lot. A little trick to getting high arm in the position. If you bring your arms straight down to rest, it's the same arm position. So from here, if you get rest, your arms really comfortable in rest, just lift them directly straight out in front and up, and you're in high arm. Brilliant. Now, keeping the same arm position, bring your arms out, and you're in mid. Bringing them down, you're in low arm. So the arm, if you notice there, I didn't bend at all my elbows or have to change positions. Those arms are the same. So if I'm here, this really nice curved line that I have in my arm, if I bring my arms up and up again, it's the same without moving them. So where it's just the positioning of the arms is what changes as we move. So into rest, then into low, into mid, and then into high arms. And then the last set of arms we're going to look at are called the body wave arms. And it's because we do a beautiful move called the body wave with this particular arm pattern. So again, same little trick to it. Bring your arms down to rest. Get comfortable and rest, shoulders blades down the back. You're going to bring, for this practice, let's bring our left arm up to high. And you're going to rotate that hand. Where the hand is rotating out right now, you're actually going to rotate it in and give your audience your beautiful armpit. That's what we want to see. Now we're going to bring the opposite arm in rest up to mid. And this is what we call our body wave arm. So as you can see, if I bring them all back down, whoop, down into rest. Same arm positions. So let's try the opposite side. We're going to bring this arm up to mid, and then this arm up to high. And again, the change here, move the hand in, and then you're opening out that. Lovely. Bring them down. Give yourself a little bit of a rub out. Your shoulders may feel a little hot here because the muscles are going crazy. Give yourself a little shake. So let's look at the arms again. We have rest. We have low, mid, high. And then our body wave arm out to one side. Rotate that hand in. Opposite side. And rotate that hand in. And back down. So let's do a little practice with putting our feet into some of the basic foot positions and looking at our hands. So we've just done basic as we were standing there. So let's do stiletto. So I'm going to stand with stiletto on my, let me go this side, on my left side. So my left leg is popped here, but again, you feel free to use whatever side you want. So let's start here. We are going into low. Lovely. Then we're going into, this is rest. And then we're going into low. And then we're going into mid. And then up to high. Now let's go out to the side with our body wave arms. And opposite side with our body wave arms. And back down. Good job. Let's change feet. Bringing swapping our weight over. I'm going to come this way. Swapping our weight over. Here we go. Rest. Low. Mid. Up for high. Body wave out to the side. Rotate that hand. Body wave out to the opposite side. Make sure you rotate that hand. Bring it in. And down, back to rest. Now let's go to kickstand again. Readjust yourself. Check in with your posture. Make sure you're up. Shoulder blades down the back. And let's extend out. So let's come into our dance posture for this one. So we're in dance posture. We're going to go into the dance position for our kickstand. So facing off to our angle, let's do our arm positions. So we have rest. Low. Mid. High. Body wave arm. And the opposite side. And you can already see how beautiful these positions are just when you're just practicing the movements out. It's so nice, and it's some of the really, really beautiful things that even though you're starting off and this is for your first class, you've already learned these beautiful moves that are whole movements in themselves. They're so lovely, and hopefully you come away with the class today with something that you can at least practice and be super proud of yourself for. So let's go to kickstand on the opposite side. And again, turning out slightly to have that dance posture. Let's get our hands back into rest. Lovely. And then into low. Into high. Oh, mid. Then into high. Now our body wave arm. Remember to turn that hand out, show them your armpit. And the opposite side. And you can already see the shapes that are created here are very, very beautiful. Bring your arms down. And shake it out. Good job. So the next thing that we're going to look at now is the foot patterns, or walking feet patterns. Feet patterns. I don't know why I call them that, but I love calling them feet patterns. And there are three main ones that we're going to do in this class. So basic walk, cross open, and grapevine. And for the purposes of this class, the versions that I will use, there's lots of different ways of doing basic walk, grapevine, all of them. There's lots of different ways, and collect the whole set. It's great. But for the purposes of this class, I will follow what Violet teaches in the further classes that we go through in Fly Fusion, so that when you come to practice it and drill, we will always step out and behind for grapevine, or always cross in front and open for a cross step, just so that when you're coming to practice and as you go further on in your dancing with Fly Fusion, that when we're coming in, that it's the same process as we go through. As I said, there's tons of different ways of doing this, and that is absolutely fine. But for the purposes of this, we will step out in very particular ways. So let's look at basic walk first. And basic walk is basic walk. We're going to walk forward and back for 4. Now, the challenge is to do this in dance posture. And I remember learning this years ago and just being like, just coming like a velociraptor and not being able to walk because it was all knees have to be bent, my pelvis has to be in, my chest has to be lifted, and I couldn't do it. And it's just walking. We all know how to walk. So let's get into dance posture first and let's just walk it back and forth to see how it feels in the body. So your own hip width apart, bend those knees slightly, lift the low belly, shoulders up and down the back. We can bring the hands out into a low, and we're just going to walk with this. So walking forward, and stepping back. So the challenge here is to keep those knees nice and bent. We're not stepping up every time and out of the bend every time. So you're keeping the knees nice and bent. Walking forward. And back. Tuck the low belly. Just be mindful of your posture. Mindful of that chest. And forward. Yeah, feels a little bit strange. It feels like everything is tense and everything is tight and you're a little like, and I'm sure if you look at your face, you're like, and that's okay. That's totally fine. This is how we start and this is how we learn. Embrace the weirdness of it all. Yeah. And then come back. Good job. So it feels strange because the posture is so, it's almost all encompassing of the body. But again, we do this to make sure that we're protected when we dance. So this in itself, if you walk away from class today, understanding your posture and practicing that, I'm super happy because it takes time. This is literally the foundation of everything that we do. So let's come back. Shake it out. You can come out of your posture for a moment. And the next movement that we're going to look at is the cross open. So when we did our basic walk, you obviously know that from our feet, we're in basic position. So cross open is a step that you travel, crossing the feet in front, and then crossing behind as you travel. So I'm pretty sure you're shouting at the camera to tell me what foot position is best to start off with. You're right, it's kickstand. Now you can start this from any foot position. From basic, you could do that, but a really beautiful one to do is from kickstand. And you'll see why. It's just really, really beautiful, but you're prepping to be able to step straight away into that movement. So let's do it with kickstand in mind. So from our kickstand facing forward, we're going to bring our arms into low for the moment, just to rest the arms down, but try to keep it in posture. Be mindful of your dance posture here. You're going to step one foot in front and then step the foot out. So every time you're transitioning with a placement of the foot and then into that kickstand foot position. So stepping, kickstand, step, kickstand. So just a little note about the foot positions. This is, if you imagine this as when you place the foot down, you're in kickstand, you're going to make sure that the whole entire foot is flat on the ground and the weight has been transferred to the opposite leg before you step out. And the reason being is that when we're in the kickstand foot position, as I showed you earlier, you want to be able to make sure that that foot can move independently, that all the weight is here. So when you are doing the cross step over, when you're crossing that foot over, make sure that weight has been shifted before you step out so that the weight is transferred and then you have enough all the weight's gone out and you can move that leg very independently. As you get faster with this, that's when this becomes quite important because you want to be able to move with this without having to shift or becoming off balance or becoming off any kind of a wobble. Because if your foot is not completely flat on the ground and your weight has not been transferred, that's when you will start to come into issues. So take your time with this. I was just showing you fast what it looks like. I don't expect speed. I want good clarity of movement rather than speed. So stepping the foot down, make sure that weight is transferred over, point the toe, place, point, place, and point. Now when we're traveling back, we're going to step that foot behind, out, behind, out, behind, out, and behind, out. Good job. So the last foot position that we're going to practice today is the grapevine. And the grapevine can be a little bit challenging because it actually shifts the body side on side. It is a movement that we do not front and back like basic walk or cross open. It's actually side to side. This is where it can be a little bit of a challenge. So let's do it together. So as I said earlier, with all of the grapevines that we use in Flight Fusion, we always step out and behind. And that is the way we will always travel in this, so that when you're doing any of the combinations that has grapevine, you know you step out and behind. As I said earlier, there's many ways of doing grapevine. You can step behind first in grapevine. You can step over first. It really does depend on the type of choreography you're doing or combination you're doing. Before Flight Fusion, we will always step out and behind. So just so you know, as soon as Violet says, okay, this movement has grapevine, you're going to go, okay, out, behind. So let's look at grapevine. Again, dance posture, make sure you're in. You're going to step the foot out, as I said, going to the side. So out to the side, weight is evenly distributed. Now we're going to shift the weight over and step behind. Footsteps behind, we come back out flat. Now we're going to step the foot over, and then we come back together. So let's do it the opposite way. Stepping out first, step behind, step out, step over, step out. So what you'll notice here is that the body shifts from the angles to the angles as we move to the side, and let your body, you don't need to fully lock it out. We talk a bit more about this in performance presence as we go through the Flight Fusion levels. So don't worry too much about this yet. I want to make sure that you get the feet and you're comfortable doing this movement in the posture. And then as we go, as we grow up through our Flight Fusion journey, we will start to learn a little bit more about this. So let's face forward, stepping out to the side, out, step behind, step out, step in front, step out, behind, out, together. And again, step out, we're going to step behind, step out, step in front, step out, behind, out, together. Now, I could keep doing grapevine. If we had a really long runway, I could be doing grapevine all day, every day, because you could just keep doing it. And it's lovely. And it's a great way, by the way, to exit a room if you don't want to talk to people. You're like, see you later. Bye. I'm going to do my grapevine. So it's a really fun one too, because it goes on for ages. So for this practice that we're going to do, we're just going to do 4 counts. We're going to go out, behind, out, stiletto, out, behind, out, stiletto. So it's just so that when we're practicing this and when we're practicing with the arms, we're just going to have this nice 4-step. As I said, you can go on for days with it, but for this, we're just going to keep it nice and simple. So out, behind, out, stiletto, out, behind, out, stiletto. Okay, so we have our 3 foot positions: basic, kickstand, and stiletto, and we have 3 walking patterns to match them up with. So basic, we're going to do basic walk. For cross open, we're going to do kickstand, and then for grapevine, we're going to do stiletto. So let's start with the foot positions and do those forward and back for 4. So basic position, dance posture. Let's go forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, and back, back. 2, 3, 4. Now let's change to kickstand. Out to the side. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Brilliant. Let's bring those feet together and shift over to the side. And we're going to stand in stiletto. Let's go out for grapevine. Stepping out, behind, out, stiletto, out, behind, out, stiletto. Good job. So let's make it a little bit more challenging for us. We have our posture, we have our foot positions, we have our arm positions. Let's put all of that stuff together and do some walks. So let's practice the arms. We're going to do basic walk first. And we're going to do our arm positions. Then we are going to do cross open with our kickstand and do all our arms again. And then we're going to do our grapevine and we'll add the arms again. So this is where you can see how they stack together with the foot positions, the foot patterns, the arms, and how the posture works together. So it's a lot in this class, so please feel free to pause as we go through this so that you can be comfortable doing the drill. So let's get started. Into our dance posture. Take a deep breath in. Arms up and down. Lovely. We're going to start with resting first. Basic walk. We're going to walk forward for 4 and back for 4. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Going 1, 2, 3, 4, and back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Low arms. 1, 2, 3, 4, and back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mid arms. 1, 2, 3, 4, and back. Make sure to check in with your posture. 3, 4. Up to high. 1, 2, 3, 4, and back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Body wave arm. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Change sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring the arms down. Little shake out. Oh. And let's get kickstand. Out to the side. Let's start with our arms and resting first. Take a deep breath in. And exhale. Here we go. Same thing. We're going to walk and we're going to change our arms as we go. Here we go. 5, 6, 7, 8. Step. Out. Step. Out. Coming back. Back. Out. Back. Out. Low arms. Here we go. Step. Out. Step. Out and back. Step. Out. Step. Out. Mid arm. Cross. Open. Cross. Open and back. Cross. Open. Cross. Open up to high. Lovely. Cross. Check in with your posture. Cross. Open and back. Back. Open. Back. Open. And let's get those body wave arms out. Cross. Open. Cross. Open. Let's change. Coming back. Cross. Open. Cross. Open. And shake it out again. Whoa. Good job. Last set. Let's do our grapevine. So, into resting. Low belly in, shoulders up and down. Check in with your posture. Here we go. And we're going to take it nice and slow. Step, behind, step, stiletto. And again. Step, behind, step, stiletto. Bring those low arms out. Step, behind, step, stiletto. And again, step, behind, step, stiletto. Mid arms, step, behind, step, stiletto. And again, step, behind, step, stiletto. High arms, step. Check in with your posture here. And again. Body wave arms. Here we go. Step. Stiletto. Change sides. Behind. Step. Together. Bring the arms down. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Press out and down. Well done. That was class 1. So in this class, you've learned your posture, one of the most important parts of our dance. You've learned our basic arm position, basic feet position, and our basic foot patterns or feet patterns. So really well done. That is the most important thing you can do right now. Play this video a couple of times, have a little bit of break with it, practice those little drills, and I can't wait to see you in class 2. Are you gonna come out? No? Come on, Squishy. Oh, I got your butt. I got your butt. You can totally come in during the class. You're totally come in. You're so cute. You're ridiculous.